probably, here's one promise. I don't know if I'm going to be interesting, but I'm most definitely going to do longer than 50 minutes. I just get carried away. Anyway, so my name is Zlatko. I'm not doing Angular, at least not on my day job. For the last 3 months, I'm working as a backend developer, as a Node.js developer. 3 streets that way, I think. But until 3 months ago, I was working as a freelancer, full stack or just front end, and mostly with mean stack, so Mongo, Node, and Angular. Anyway, I work at thingsnet.com, look at /jobs. We always want interns and new people, or people that are experienced that want to change. So if you're looking for something, take a look there. Anyway, so I was, like I said, until 3 months ago, I was a freelancer, and that means a lot of smaller projects. And that means, some projects last for a year or 2 or something, but most of them are 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, something like that. So from project to project, from client to client, your workflow changes a lot. So anyway, I'm not Angular practitioner or expert or Gulp expert. I'm just using it a lot because I just want to get my job done. So that's my story. So where did it all begin? It began in, I think, around 2008 when I started working with Alfresco. If you don't know what Alfresco is, it's something like SharePoint, only not as ugly, and it was open source and stuff. But the point is, it had JavaScript on the front end, it used Yahoo YUI, that's now dead, and it used JavaScript on the server, so a lot of JavaScript. So in 2008, I don't even think Node was out yet, but the point is, I was reading a lot, crop for good parts, link your code. So my first steps were just copy my code into jslink.com, read the bugs, and from that I learned to always use triple equals. That's what I learned there. Anyway, later I started automating those tasks, like trying to write a bash script that would, or a curl, use curl or something that would get results but that failed, or doing some minification or all the other tasks that you need to do. But the point is, that's where it all started. But in that workflow, it kind of flowed, or trickled, should I say. So, but when I started working on Node and a little bit different projects, I started having different needs. And like I said, when you're freelancing, you need to do different tasks on different projects. And when you open Gruntfile, Grunt was there first. So when you open Gruntfile, you see something like that reminded me of POM file. So that's Maven dependency management file, and it's a mess. It's an XML. It doesn't look pretty. You don't know what is what, and it's very confusing. So I was happy to use Grunt because it would help me, do minification, do all those tasks. But I was not happy because it was really complex, and you had to, learn a lot about it. And we developers are lazy. We don't want to learn. We just want to use stuff. And besides, when you want to do something fast, you just want to get something done really fast. And Gulp is not something that I want to do. It's just something that helps me do my stuff, do my job. So Gruntfile looks complicated. Or looked to me, at least, it has those structures and sources and destinations and tasks and everything. And in Gulpfile, you say gulp.source is client/scripts/everything there. Pipe it to header and write something, and pipe it to a destination. And even Java guys can understand this much JavaScript, I guess. Anyway, so that's how I came to use Gulp. And when when did I come to use it a lot and to learn it a lot and to figure out that Gulp and Angular are really match, at least in my case, is sometimes last year, beginning of the last year, I had a pure client-side project, Angular only, and it was supposed to last about 3 to 4 months, and I said, okay, this is a great time. I started with a completely blank Gulpfile, and I said, okay, this time I'm learning this stuff. And the first lesson I learned is you always return a string from task. Because why? We were talking about concatenation and all these other tasks, and so what Gulp gives you? It gives you a simple API. You can define a task, and you say, okay, this task will minify my files. This task will prepack my Angular components. This task will compile my HTML to ng templates, and do all those things that you need. But the point is, when you're doing a bigger task that's compiling all those, you declare dependencies again. But if you don't return a string from one of the previous tasks, Gulp would not know when to start with the next one. So in best case scenarios, you wouldn't get results at all. Anyway, so on that project I learned a lot of things. So minification is really simple. You just copy paste something off of Google. But how to do source maps? I had problems there. So source maps mostly for CSS, but also for some JavaScript, for some like missing commas and stuff. And how to compile all those things, how to compile templates into JavaScript before deployment. How to inject all that stuff into HTML. Grunt does it nicely, and Gulp didn't want to do it nicely for me. So that's some of the things. So today I'm just going to show you 3 examples. It's a short talk, so we don't have time to go into details how stuff works. So the first task is about source maps. So I had a Bootstrap theme, and it just had one style.less file. And in that file, it had 25, 30 lines of include something other .less. So that's all that it took. So in your index file, you would just include that. But the point is, Gulp works with strings. That means it will read all the sources, all the files that you tell it, and then it will just string it on, push it to the next file, and then less will compile all that, and then you will write it all somewhere in source maps, and then to output the CSS into builds folder or wherever you want it. But the point is, when I opened my app and then some div is 2 pixels off or something crazy like that, and when you open the source file, you see that the source is in this style.less on line 6780, or I don't know, because of order of those streams, that order is important. It were first included everything into one huge less file, and then it's written a source map. So that it means that to source maps plugin, it looked like I just have one huge less file. So that's that was really tricky and annoying. I spent a lot of time to just make sure that you simply initialize source maps before you start doing anything else. So that's one lesson, small lesson, and the bigger lesson is when you're doing something with Gulp, you should just pay a little attention of how you structure your plugins. So concatenation and minification and things that the guys talked about before. So you just have to make sure that you do everything in proper order. So it's, again, dependency management. Okay, so the second lesson was, so I wanted to cache my assets, and there's a nice plugin called Gulpfile. It will take the content of your file. It will calculate the hash, and it will append that hash to the file name. So you'll have add -2 something.js. And later on, and you set the server never to expire that file, or any of assets. And it does that for JavaScript, for CSS, for everything. So when the hash of the files changes, when you add something to a file, the hash will be different, so the browser will have a different hash, so you don't have to append all those versions and refresh clients and worry about those problems. But then later on, when you delete this module because you developed a feature, you deployed it, but it's not good, so you roll back. So the hash will be the same as the original files, and the browser will already have that in cache. So that's kind of really nice to have. So that's great. But now we have another problem. Now we have files that are compiled dynamically, and you have to inject them into your index.html. So there's a Gulp inject plugin. You tell it, okay, here put the head, anything that needs to go into head. So here put app.js. Here put vendor libs. So that's great. But my problem was, how can I put those files there, because I don't know the names, I don't know what this hash will look like. So the source was the solution was transforming this stuff. So in the previous task, this one, when you do this minification, this hashing, you would get output something like vendor manifest or app manifest or whatever. You would get this JSON file which tells you all these names. So in this step, you can transform this. You don't use the source files. You don't use this app manifest. You transform app manifest and you tell it, okay, instead for every entry, find this app, find this app thing and transform every entry into a script tag. Or when you have CSS, when you have JavaScript, when you have vendor libs and things that are separate like that, so you don't have to care. And in your deployed version, this stuff is full of your code. Anyway, so the second lesson is you don't have to write Gulp plugins. Like I said, I don't write Gulp plugins. I'm not really one of the superstars. So I'm just trying to get my job done. But you can still do some small changes. You can still change data on the fly. You can adapt this Gulp task to listen to you and to do something like that. And so the third thing that third lesson that I've learned from all that process is I run tests. I also run Gulp JS lint. I also run JS CS. So that was not in that project, but at that time I had Gulp lint. But the problem is, you do a change, you save, there's a typo, you missed a comma or something, but your tests are now failing and you have a whole bunch of errors and you don't see what's going on. So you have to scroll back and stuff like that. So simple solution, of course, is just split it up. I just split my terminal. I always run my terminal like this now. So on one I have tests, and on the other I have this linting stuff, and there's one more, just gits and whatever else I need. But the lesson there is, once I started digging in to this Gulp file, I started discovering that, okay, tasks in Gulp are not something that you copy off the internet. That's something that you use to do your project well, so to help yourself. And you do that to own your own tasks. And so it doesn't have to be a default task that monitors something. This can be a test task or a lint task or something else. So basically, dig into that Gulp file and adapt it to yourself.